And you're up.
Good evening, everyone. The Board of Selectmen is called to order on October 24th, 2019 at 6 p.m., 6:01, excuse me. Approve the October 10th, 2019 Selectmen's meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. Hi, Carol.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to do a
Carol,
last
could you
minute
turn that
promo,
on? I
if you
forgot to
will.
turn that mic on. It's up on top.
Good evening. I just wanted to do a last minute promo, if you will, for our great zombie dash, which we have scheduled for tomorrow evening at the Conservation Trust headquarters on Gravelly Brook. It is a first for us. We're not sure exactly how this will go, but it's based on an event done in Illinois that has had a lot of good reports. So we've got approximately 80 people right now registered to run, which is an impressive number for the first attempt.
Did you say 80?
80.
Oh, that's great.
It will have two waves. A family-friendly run will go out first while it's still sort of light. That will leave at 5:45. The zombies will have a strict code of conduct, and they will.
Are you sure?
They will know that it's a family-friendly run and
Not
temper
scare the
their.
bejesus out of the
That's
kids?
right. Temper themselves accordingly. And then at 6:15, we're going to have what we're calling the extreme run, which is going to be a little bit scarier. It'll be a little bit darker. It'll be a little bit more challenging. So it's roughly a 1 mile trail. It's the education trail that they have out there at the headquarters. And we have a variety of challenges throughout the time. Plus we have several. Right now we're somewhere in the 17 range. Zombies, people made up as zombies, and they will come out and try to steal flag football flags. If you get back to the headquarters and you have both your flags, you'll get 2 raffle tickets for prizes. If you have one, you'll get one. If you have none, unfortunately, you were infected and you get no prizes. So it should be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to it. And I just wanted to put out a last minute plea that we are still looking for some zombies. So if there's anyone out there who has
Any experience?
any interest in helping us out, you can contact the Recreation Department tomorrow at 967-4304, and we will
Or
provide
you could
information.
email you at
ccook@kennebunkportme.gov. We have a Sign Up Genius set up so that we'll provide that link for you. Get everybody who's interested involved in this event.
So if I don't know what it means to be a volunteer and what I would have to do, or what physical abilities I would have to be a zombie, what does that entail?
Thank you. We have several different activities available. So I mean, it could be a sedate issue, if you will. You might be able to sit and check people in. You might work at the raffle table. So there are some simpler things. If you are interested in being a makeup artist, that's helpful as well to help to get the zombies ready for their big night. If you want to be a zombie, even that you can have varying degrees of I'll say fitness. You're all dead after all, so, you know, how fast you move is going to be up to you. And it will be, as I said, 2 runs or 2 different waves going through, so there'll be time in between the 2 to regroup and get ready to go.
I'll send my bait crew up to help
There you
out.
go, that'd be great.
They'll smell dead.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
I think, thank you.
Anybody else? Public forum? No? Okay. Consider applications for Recreation Committee. We would like to have 7 members. Right now, we have 5 applicants, and Carol, where'd Carol? Oh, there's, you might as well come on up a second.
I should have looked at these.
would you like to talk a little bit about this and the applicants?
Sure. So, now that the Recreation Department is trying to get into a lot more activities and programs and what have you, we were finding it necessary to reach out and gather in more volunteers. We were looking for people that might be able to help us a little bit in terms of what programs we should actually try, which ones they had heard out and about, or if people had real concerns about something that we were doing, or, you know, whatever. So we decided, a few weeks ago, I was here and asked if it would be all right for us to reinvigorate, if you will, the recreation committee that we had years ago, and you wholeheartedly supported that. So we put out the word, and as you said, at this point in time, we have 5 applicants. 2 of them are here this evening, Bob Convery and Adam Hartwig. The other 3 were unable to make it this evening, but have all been people that are interested in what goes on in the Recreation Department. They've all been working with us or involved in our activities or whatever over the last several years. So even though right now we're only at 5, it looks like a solid group of people, and I hope that you'll take a minute to speak to them, but that you will indeed go along with all 5 that have applied.
Okay, so we need 2 more, correct?
We're
2 more.
still hoping for 2 more, yes.
Okay, great. Sounds,
Lock the doors.
lock the doors. All right, well, thank you. Adam, would you like to come up and
Sure.
tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Possible applicant here. All right, how you guys doing? Yeah, thank you for, boy. Working a job where this isn't an occupational hazard, so just bear with me. But, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the committee. You know, like, I'm glad that Carol and Brees reached out and asked. I have 3 children in the district, 3, 6, and 9. And they take part in activities throughout the entire calendar year. I've been fortunate enough to be able to coach them in basketball and soccer and help out in lacrosse. They do after-school programs with the rec department at times. And, you know, it's been a wonderful asset to the community. It has done amazing things, obviously, for my kids and bringing them together with other children in Kennebunkport and also in Arundel and Kennebunk. And the nature of my job, I cover public health activities for York County, every town in York County. So recreation activity is near and dear to my heart, but it's apparent that not all rec departments are created equal, and what's happening here is pretty special. So when Carol asked me to be a part of that, I definitely wanted to jump at it and continue, you know, kind of the standard of excellence in the area and for what I see in southern Maine, so.
Well, thank you.
Great,
Excellent.
yeah.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. Brian?
Do you
Would you
want to say
like
a
to-
few words?
Bob?
Robert.
Robert, I'm sorry, Robert.
Just Bob.
Okay.
Yes, I fully endorse the gentleman before speaking, and the same thing. I'm very pleased to be asked by such a great group that you have doing Parks and Recreation in this town. And that's about it. I'll do the best I can to contribute.
All right, well, thank you very
You
much.
must have the creative mind.
I
Yeah?
guess so. At this point in my life, yes, I've been in the service all over the world and stuff, and et cetera,
Great.
so.
Well, thank
you
you.
very
Very much
have
for
great ideas.
volunteering.
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I think we,
I know the other 2 candidates.
Yeah, I do
as
too.
well, so I'm very satisfied.
yeah.
There's 3 more, right?
3.
3,
Three more.
Brian, I don't.
You want to name them?
What's that?
Sure. We have 5 applicants: Robert Convery, Kristen Garvin, Adam Hartwig, Deborah Lennon, and Brian Page.
I moved the slate.
Second.
First and second, all
And
in favor?
I believe you were leaving a term until
there-
June of 2020.
You didn't hear that?
Yeah,
1
I
year?
thought I
year?
did, but I
Yeah.
just checked.
One-year
Okay.
term.
Okay,
2020.
2020. All in favor?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
all
you.
for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Okay, award the bid for reevaluation update.
Good evening. So I am here to just follow up on the
bid that we sent out back in August to do a statistical update, market adjustment. It has varying names. I've decided to stick with market adjustment because it's easier to say and less confusing. So we sent out bids in August. We sent it to 5 different local companies that perform market adjustments, and we heard back from 2 of them. Committee of Pat Briggs, myself, and Warner Gilliam looked at the 2 that we did receive. We received one from KRT Appraisal. They were both out of Massachusetts. KRT Appraisal out of Massachusetts and Vision Government Solutions. The original budget that the town approved back in June was $67,000. KRT Appraisal came in the amount of $83,000, and Vision Government Solutions came in with the $67,000 bid. And after reviewing it with Pat and Werner, we decided that Vision, because of our relationship with them, they are the current software providers. Yeah, go
Didn't
ahead.
they do the last one?
They did the last one in 2009 and actually in 1998. So they've done the
Okay.
3
So
that
they
I
know
am
the
aware
town.
of, yes.
Yeah.
And we
Yep.
have some of the software and everything.
And we use
Yeah.
their software,
Yeah.
we're familiar with them. One of the project managers was actually the project manager back in 1998, from what I understand. I did contact several communities to ask them how their experience was, because this will not be a big, full-blown reeval like it was in 2009. It's gonna be a smaller scale. And I heard nothing but positive things from the 3 people I spoke to. And one of them was actually Donna Hayes. I called her because she had just done one in Monmouth a couple of years ago, and she said they were great, you know, and I've always liked Vision. I mean, I've been working with them for the 6 years that I've been here, and I've had no problems with them. So
Great.
we are recommending that the board accept the bid of $67,000 to Vision Government
So what is
Solutions.
how are they gonna go about this, since it's not a full-blown
Okay.
revow?
So here's what I've been trying to inform taxpayers as they do come into the office. What will happen is they will be looking at the sales in Kennebunkport for the past 2 years. So on the properties that have sold in the past 2 years, they will actually go to visit those properties and do the full measure and list. So they'll knock on those people's door or notify them and ask to do an interior inspection, measure, and make sure all the information is correct. On the other homes or properties in Kennebunkport, they will do what they call a windshield inspection. So they will take the property record card, go to each individual property, confirm that the information that's on the property record card matches what they see. So if they see a ranch on the card and they look up and there's a colonial, they know there's an issue, then they'll go out and they'll knock on that door and try to update the information. So it won't be as intrusive as it was in 2009, so not everybody will be visited. If people prefer not to have their homes inspected, they don't have to. They have that right to say, no, we don't want you coming in. I have had a few people already tell me that they don't want them to come to their properties, which is fine. I've been making a list, so if anybody has any questions or concerns about that, by all means, give me a call at the office.
Can you just note that, you know, the importance of an
Yes.
inspection and the fact that really, I think that we have found that when people get an inspection, the information tends to be more accurate and can
Correct.
actually lower people's valuations. It's not always I
Correct.
think people's first reaction
Fear
is,
right, that we're coming in to raise your assessment or tax you out of your home, which is not the case at all. It's just to make sure that our information that we have on record is accurate. If you choose not to let them in, your rights to appeal the assessment go down, because to say, well, I don't have that in my home, if we can't see that, we can't fix it. So most people are fine with it, but I had one customer say that they just, for privacy reasons, they just did not want anybody, and that's acceptable. They just would have a harder time appealing their value. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that's important. New pictures will be taken. They will be doing that too on any of the pictures. They will do that on all the sales properties, but any of the other properties that maybe pictures aren't clear, because some of them are older, it's been 10 years since our last reval, they will take new pictures of the properties, of the houses.
Okay.
So then as a homeowner, what notice will I get and how does that process
Okay.
work?
So, I've talked to Vision a little bit. We were kind of waiting for their bid to be approved before we got too deep into it. What we will start with is trying to get some information out to the public via our website. It was too late to do anything with the fall newsletter, just because of the timing of everything. So, I actually sent them an email today to try to get the public relations fall moving. So I will try to have try to get a pamphlet together, get the stuff out on the website. Like I said, as people have been coming into the assessing office, I've been trying to explain to them the process, why we do this, things like that, giving people my business card, encouraging them to call. I am going to try to meet with the Kennebunkport Residents Association and possibly meet with the Goose Rocks Beach Advisory Committee, so some of these bigger groups can get the word out as well, because not everybody subscribes to the website or whatever. So I'm trying to be as proactive as I can, getting the information out there, because I feel that the more people have, the more knowledge people have about the situation and how things work, it's, you know, they understand it and it's a little bit smoother. I mean, it's gonna be, you know, people understand it. Some will like it and some won't, and that's all I can do.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Do
Thank
have
you,
a
Becky.
No,
Okay.
just a reminder, once we approve it tonight, you might let everyone know when you plan to start.
Okay. Once it gets approved, the Vision had originally slated a November 1st date to start doing data collection, just trying to get information. I do not believe that they will go out and start visiting properties until at least December 1st, which I know is coming into the winter season when some of the homeowners are gone, which they are aware of. And so some of those sales properties won't be visited this winter. It probably will have to wait until the spring. But they are aware that that might be a situation that they'll have to deal with come spring. Either, you know, they'll send notifications out to the homeowners as well, letting them know that they'd like to come and do a visit. And then if they have a property manager or they want to wait until the spring, until they're back, if they have a tenant, the property owner can make that decision on how they want Vision to come and visit their properties.
Becky, do you-
Time frame would, okay, so the goal is to have everything completed for July of 2020. So it will be done for the commitment for the 2020-2021 tax year. So all of the new values will be effective as of April 1st of 2020. And the goal, obviously, of any revaluation or market adjustment is to get our values back up to as near as 100% as we can, because currently we are certifying at 97%, but our real-time ratio is about 88, 86, 85 in the waterfront areas. So we want to get back to where we can also give full exemptions. Speaking of exemptions, Homestead Exemption is going up as of April 1st of 2020 to $25,000. So if you do not have your Homestead Exemption, come and see me. The applications are on the website. I can give you one, get those filled out. So we have those for April 1st of 2020, because then you'll benefit from that as well.
Okay.
And veterans too, sorry, if you're a veteran.
you have to
and
be so old, though, to be a veteran, correct? I
You-
mean, not
you
to be a
have to-
veteran, but to get, because we've
To-
talked about this.
Right, you have to be at least 62. However, if you are permanently disabled from the military, you can qualify prior to you reaching your 62nd birthday. And if you're a widow of a veteran, as long as your deceased partner was at 62, you would qualify for that exemption as well. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me at 967-1603. And I will do my best to get you the forms, get you the information. I'll do what I can.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Becky. Then I would move that we award the bid to Vision Government Solutions for $67,000.
I second it.
First and second, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Okay.
stay right here
I was
because the
gonna
next
say, you're
thing.
gonna stay there.
That's all right.
Okay, sign the municipal valuation return.
Okay, so the MVR, as I like to call it, is something that you guys, that I fill out every year, that you guys sign off on every year. That is giving the state, it's my audit for the state. They look at what the property values are for residential, commercial, tree growth, all of our special programmings. They use that in order to determine what we get back for the homestead exemptions, things like that. It's an audit, basically, of our values in town, and that's where they come up with the growth, what our ratio is, in conjunction with my sales analysis that gets done as well.
We need a motion, or we're just gonna sign it? I move we sign it.
Do you have to give them,
Do we need any figures here? Do we not?
They're all in the.
They're all in
Report.
there. I can tell you that we had about a $21 million increase in value from last year.
and that was all Langsford Road,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Yes.
You're right.
So we do need a motion to accept this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Becky.
You're welcome.
All right, let's buy something. We're gonna buy a pickup truck.
There you go.
Okay, 7, award bid for Public Works 350 pickup.
This is actually my truck. So this is the 350 that I've got. We're going to keep this one the one I've got, we're going to keep in the fleet, and we're going to sell the Ford Ranger. So when this comes in, we will put that out for
Public bid?
sealed bids.
Okay. Okay. It's quite a difference in between the two companies.
We got a late bid from Yankee Ford. It came in after the bid opening, but it was a little over 34,000. I do not know why Arundel was a little higher.
It's,
Where is Key Ford?
Down in York.
Oh, okay. Well, I move we expend $32,970 to purchase an F-350 from Key Ford in York.
Does it have a heater?
Yeah.
Just making
With
sure.
tires.
I would think so.
I have a first.
Second.
All in favor?
We,
Thank you.
we purchased the Ford Explorer through Key Ford too, and the Range, and the Escape. So they've had some good prices for us.
Good, good.
We like good prices.
Yeah.
It works. Very good price. Okay, accept a donation of $1,000 from the Kennebunkport Residents Association
Nice.
With,
to the Public Health Department's General Needs Account.
with much gratitude, I move we accept it.
Second?
For first and second, and thank you very much. All in favor?
Speaking of the KRA, Ms. David.
Okay, 9, proposed recycling survey for November election day. Are you, John, are you gonna talk about this, or
Mike?
what's that?
Mike or John?
Or Mike? Mike, okay.
Okay.
Just real quick on recycling. Recycling committee would like to be present at Election Day. We've got compost bins that have just come in through our grant, and we're going to be having a compost bin program that will be giving them away to residents, so we want to start promoting that. And since we figured we were there for that, they'd like to do a survey for the residents. And we had, Paul Hogan did a draft for us, and then Lori and I revised that. So that's what you've got in front of you.
Okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the purpose of the survey, or?
So the recycling committee, the solid waste committee would like to, bring you guys as much information on curbside recycling as they can. They've been meeting with EcoMaine to talk about that. They've been doing their own research on that. And so the idea was if we could get some survey data, we'd be able to, when we meet with you guys later in the year on budget matters, we'd have some citizen input to add with our budget comments.
Well, I'd like to also see them, if they're gonna have some work done on the pickup, I'd like to see some stuff brought back to the board for drop-off, the pros and the cons of both pick-up or drop-off. I haven't heard too much about the drop-off from anybody yet, and I'd also like to see the committee do something about trying to educate the public. So would they know exactly what they can throw away or what they have to go ahead and be able to recycle and not recycle? So I'd like to see some of that, if the committee would be very helpful for us to get some input, especially on the drop-off. I'm very interested in that.
And so do you think we ought to add a question on the drop-off to this survey? I mean,
I haven't had a chance to look at this.
I mean, because,
I just got
You
this
deal-
tonight.
right, because
You know-
I really only added C-Road recycling as the
Beg your
drop-off.
pardon?
I added C-Road recycling as the drop, do you use the recycling center? It's just a yes or no.
What about a question asking if we, and again, I haven't, this came to me when I got here
I-
tonight. If people in town would support having our own drop-off,
What do you mean by that?
having our own
Right.
recycling.
Rather
center.
than dropping off in
In
Kennebunk,
Kennebunk,
having
and having
a site
pay.
here.
Right.
I mean, and this, we've batted this back a lot, and, I think it's good that we're continuing on this road, but, we did away with curbside recycling for a reason. And if the residents of the town think that it's appropriate that we had our own recycling center where we could bring recycling, perhaps that's an option, a real option.
Yeah.
But I don't see it here.
Well, that's one of the questions I just asked you a
And
minute ago.
what would it cost?
Yes.
Right, and so I think that, when you're dropping things off and you have somebody there accepting them, they have a better way of educating the people what they can take and what they cannot take, because they're looking at what they're bringing back in one form or another, and they're gonna send things back saying, look, you can't recycle this, you have to take it back and put it in your trash. It'd be like a one-on-one situation, maybe it could be a couple days a week, something like that. I mean, I'm just throwing out these ideas. I'd like to hear some ideas from the committee on that, because we're just talking about pickup. We're not talking about other alternatives to make things work better for us.
Okay.
And one of the big things that, when the gentleman came to discuss with us the whole recycling issue, one of the big things that I came away with was the fact that people don't understand what they can and cannot recycle and what contamination is. And I think that's more important, to get that message out. What do you mean by contamination? What do you mean by only number 2 cardboard? Do you know what I mean? I think
That's the same question that
issue.
I have got from our constituents when they
Yeah.
talk to me about it. People have had very mixed emotions about this. Everybody wants to do the right thing. The question is, nobody seems to know what the right thing is. And that's the question, that's what I've told them. I said, basically, we were throwing a lot of this in a landfill because it was contaminated. When I said contaminated, every time I say that word, they're like, what do you mean?
Right.
So you're spot on, Sheila. And if we're gonna do this, I'd like to see it done right, and it's gonna take time. And I appreciate all this. I really do, but if we're gonna do this, I don't have a problem with having some sort of recycling in our own town where we can educate people, as you say. You bring it in and they go through it with you. And they say, you can recycle this, this, and this, but you can't recycle this. I mean, I know I recycled every week, but after I learned more and more about recycling, I was as guilty as anybody for throwing things in that shouldn't have been recycled. Not because I did it intentionally, but because I didn't know.
Well, and another thing is that you throw away a tin can, well, if you don't wash the tin can out, it's contaminated. What does that do to what you have in?
Then they don't take it.
So there's all kinds of different questions that we'd really like to see answered, and we'd like, I'm not saying I'm against a survey, but it just seems like it's just going just down one track without even asking the public what they think about drop-off.
Okay.
Because if we go back to curbside, we're gonna be right back to where we left off, and we aren't going to improve the process.
I mean, John's on the committee.
Yes.
Can I speak to that?
Oh,
Please,
absolutely.
absolutely.
We have quite a detailed education program already being developed, so that
Yeah.
wasn't the intent to present that to you tonight.
Okay.
And you're exactly right. That is the key element, is how to keep contamination down. What is contamination? How do you do it? And then what are the different elements of materials that can be recycled?
Right.
You know, what is the cardboard? It has to have a little corrugated, you know, is it pasteboard, is it cardboard? So we're working diligently on that. And we have already had a meeting with Echo Maine. Their education facility is free to us. It's very robust. They've got 2 people full-time on staff to do it. So we're fully engaged on the education piece.
Maybe we could get them to come to one of our meetings this
Absolutely.
winter. I mean, because people watch these meetings, you know, I hear about it all the time. What did you say at the last selectmen's meeting? So people, you know, they may not be here in the audience, but people do pay attention.
No, we'll have a full presentation.
And I haven't heard anybody say they didn't want to recycle.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, our community is very engaged in this, and, you know, we have taken some heat, some rightfully so, some not so, about ending curbside recycling. So my point being, when we get to the end, and I think this is your place in this, is let's do it right next time.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think the intent on this was just to allow people to tell us what they have been recycling, whether or not they think recycling is important, and get some idea of what the dollar value is that they'd be willing to support. Because whether we do drop-off or curbside, there's going to be a dollar impact to the town to do that. So that's the intent of the survey.
Correct. I mean, we may be a bit premature, but I wouldn't want to charge the residents or or, you know, the taxpayers any more than they're already paying in their property tax. Meaning if we did it ourselves, you know, if people go to Kennebunk now, they got to pay.
Correct.
In the future, if we do it, I want it to be included in our tax bill. Meaning that you wouldn't have to go, if we set it up at the town barn, you wouldn't have to go up and pay to throw your stuff away if you were at Kennebunkport, or, excuse me, to recycle if you were at Kennebunkport.
But obviously, there's a cost element there. Either
Correct,
one
but
of
that
those,
would
that's
be,
all I'm saying, yeah.
yes,
Either
but that
one
would be
has a
something that
cost
would be absorbed like it used to be when we did curbside.
Well, exactly. No, I
Yes.
hear that. But either one is going to be an extra cost, and we have to have, what are they willing to? And to that point, Lori, just some idea on wordsmithing, maybe this isn't the place to do that. Are we going to approve the exact text here, or could we have a moment afterwards to maybe, for instance, on on how much they're willing to spend? I would underline the per year, because when you look at, when I first looked at that, I thought it was going to be a biweekly cost. And then perhaps use 0, 25, 50, 75, and 100. I think that, because people will hopefully shoot for the middle, because that's kind of where we think it's going to be anyway. So just some things like that. And make it the third question, not the first. I hate hitting right up front with the expense. So is that the sort of thing that, do we need to set that before the board approves?
It's up to the board.
Would you?
I would like to see other things. I mean, like you're only doing one thing, curbside recycling. You didn't say anything about drop-off. And
I don't
that's-
know what people, if you said drop off to me, I don't know what that means really, other than having to pay for it when I take it to Sea Road. So you'd have to do some real explaining.
That's why I'm trying to tell you tonight, I don't think this is ready to go to the public yet.
Yeah.
Because it's really incomplete, even though you've done a good job with it. But it's like, there's things that we'd like to see on this, that people would have more choices what they would like to see. And that means we would need, you know, maybe some costs and what's involved and.
Like number 4, would you be willing to spend 15 minutes per day creating clean recyclables? If you don't know, to me, that's like, what do you mean clean recyclables? I threw my, milk carton in there or that. What do you mean clean?
Yeah, I
Do
suggested
you know
to
what I
say to
mean?
help keep contamination levels low, would you be willing to do that? So it's to keep
So
the
I
contamination.
think this is, if you want to do something like this isn't complete.
Okay.
We would want to see something that's.
And I know you wanted to set this up at the elections, but I don't think this is ready for it yet. I really don't, John. I know you're trying hard, I know you guys are trying hard and everything else, but I just would like to see more questions, general questions, especially, what's their feelings about drop-off? Well, we can explain what drop-off means in a survey. Maybe people would like, I mean, I think that you would see somewhere along the line that we'd be getting cleaner and not so much stuff that is recyclable, if it went to a drop-off location.
Just a comment, because this election is expected to be a light turnout, going along with what Alan is saying, we have the time to do it because then we can get it out to more people through other channels and other means, rather than try to get something out that doesn't quite cover what we're concerned about.
Because we want to make sure that this gets out there,
Yeah.
and the public has, we don't want to have to do this again, ever. We want to be able to do this, do it right, and make as many people happy as we possibly can.
And if you did set up a table for the vote, this vote coming up, maybe information on the whole recycling process. That, I think, is more important, the information to get out to people, as opposed to, or, you know, if they stop by your table, you can always ask them questions,
Sure, sure.
kind of thing.
Education is the most important part of this whole
That's what I think.
scenario.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Okay,
Good.
I think we can go, but we've got a meeting on Monday.
Okay?
But we
And,
do, we
Thank you,
do
John.
thank you, and, you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
sometimes it seems as though
If we're not
we're
fighting
brushing
with
you
you.
off, but this is very important, and we do
is.
appreciate the time that you put into it.
We'll come back to you at a later date.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you. Okay, other business? We have some other
Don't we
business?
have Mr. Austin Esquire to speak to us
Would
this
you like to
evening?
come up?
Counselor?
We haven't seen you for a while.
Is that good or bad? Thank you for hearing us, for hearing me tonight. I'm here on behalf of a client, Steve Francis, who owns property at 76 Pier Road. And sort of an emergency situation developed this week. He has the property under contract to sell. Closing is scheduled to be November 1, a week from tomorrow. And we found out from the buyer's attorney just the other day, I think on Tuesday, that they believe there's a title defect in regard to a water line easement that runs from Pier Road across a budding property to Steve's property. The water line easement was created back in 2002, and I'm going to kind of give a brief summary and then go into more details because it gets a little convoluted. But the water line easement was created in 2002. It crosses what was then property of Camille Pargelis, actually the estate of Camille
Yeah.
Pargelis, because she was had passed away by that time. Her son, Steve LaPalme, signed the easement deed, and probably should have been signed by also Camille's husband, Alan Pargelis. And it was just signed by, the family knew about it, they were fine with the easement. Steve was kind of handling the family affairs at that time, so he signed the easement deed. And it probably, if not probably, it should have also included Alan signing it. Easement, the water line went in 2002. It's been there for 17 years. There's been no problem. Steve LaPalme eventually sold the Pargelis property to the current owner, Susan Reese. But in 2008, and I was not part of the 2008 transaction, but in 2008, the Reeses sold a very small, or conveyed a very small triangular portion of their property right on Pier Road to the town. And as luck or bad luck would have it, the water line runs through that, about 8 feet of that line is on town property before the other 92 feet go across the Reese property. And the attorney for the buyer would like confirmatory deeds from both Susan Reese, who's agreed to do that and will be signing, excuse me, a confirmatory easement deed tomorrow, and then also one from the town. And I know this is very short notice, last minute. I'm very appreciative of the effort that Lori and other town staff have helped with this, as well as Amy Chow and attorneys at her firm to really pull this together, and that's our request. It's not granting a new easement. It's confirming that this easement that's been there for 17 years is fine with the town.
Are we,
It's simply a quitclaim deed, correct?
It's
Meaning-
actually a release deed, which is even less than a quitclaim,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
Amy, you
if
okay
you,
with this?
yeah, so they worked on it. I mean, the big concern is that you could not have the authority to give an easement that the town had not authorized, and making sure this was a confirmation. So on page 2 of the deed, on the paragraph, the third paragraph that begins "the property of," you'll note that after grantor's property, it says, "which was accepted by the grantor with knowledge of the location of the existing water pipe." So the water pipe was not referenced in the deed, but certainly people knew the water line was there, so that language was drafted. In the next paragraph down, where it begins, "the purpose of this confirmatory easement deed is to confirm the easement by implication," because the deed, it was implied there was an easement there because everyone knew the water pipe was there. So with this language included in the deed, our legal staff, which just helped us support confirmation of ownership of Goose Rock Speed, was, believe that this is, will be fine, and you guys can sign off on that.
I move we sign off on this confirmatory easement deed.
I'll second that.
I have a first and second, all in favor?
Yep.
Thank you
You're
very
on
much.
your way.
Sounds easy enough.
Good luck, Ralph.
Yeah,
I did, I put a copy.
that was easy.
Okay, good.
That might have been the easiest part of all this, if I'm not mistaken.
You'll be signing tonight?
Yeah,
Yes.
tonight.
Yes. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
be done in a minute.
The only thing is, we do need a notary. You can notary.
Do it all the time.
It's not a conflict of interest? Just checking.
Amy, Amy. Laurie, do you have any other business?
I do not.
Come on.
I can make up stuff all day
No,
long.
I move we approve the treasurer's warrants.
Hang on one second. I have
Unless
to
somebody
ask
else
the
says,
other
oh,
fellow
Pat
here.
has something, sorry.
I'm
No.
fine.
What's that? Ed,
Yeah, I move we approve the treasurer's warrants.
Okay.
So can I just have one other business?
Yes, you can.
So I just want to remind everybody that the Kennebunkport Heritage Housing Trust is having the Community Music Showcase event on November 7th from 7 PM to 10 PM. Tickets are $25. And it's a great opportunity to see a lot of local bands with a lot of friends. There'll be dancing, live music. There will also be auction items at that event. And so you're going to have the opportunity to do some very unique things, like be able to light the Christmas tree at Prelude, or ride in with Santa, ride in a fire truck to work or school, be able to ride in the Memorial Day Parade, and even name the street of the first Housing Trust subdivision. And so if you come to the event, you not only have a good time, but a chance to really bid on some of these very special items.
Great, that sounds like a lot of fun.
The event is at Vinegar Hill.
Vinegar Hill on the 7th of
gonna be-
November.
yeah, it's gonna be
Tickets
fun.
are only $25,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
can get them online.
You went big time for that.
Yes,
Nice.
we want
Congratulations.
everybody to come.
Congratulations.
So I heard a motion to approve the treasurer's warrant, but I haven't had a second. I have a second. First, okay, all in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you for
good evening.
coming.
Very